They thought I'd just roll over, let them take what was mine. A bunch of suits and Karens waving HOA rulebooks, building luxury homes where they didn't belong. But I didn't yell. I didn't fight them in the streets. I opened the dam, and I watched nature do the talking. I'm not a man who looks for trouble. My name's Eli, 61 years old. Been working the same land my grandfather cleared with his bare hands. 103 acres of woods, pasture, and rolling hills outside Jackson, Mississippi. It's not glamorous, it's not modern, but it's mine. At the base of my property runs a narrow river. When I was in my 20s, I built a small dam system, legal, permitted, maintained. Kept a reservoir for the dry months, helped irrigate my fields, gave the deer and cattle a place to drink. Nobody cared about my land back then, until the city started expanding. 3 years ago, I noticed white survey flags, then trucks, graders, noise. I drove down to see what was going on, figured they were working near the old county line. But what I saw chilled me. Concrete slabs, drainage pipes, construction crews laying the foundation for an entire subdivision. On my land. I confronted the site manager, told him he was trespassing. He looked me dead in the eye and said, "We've got county approval. This is part of Whispering Pines, Phase 1. I said, "This land belongs to me." He shrugged. "Not according to the survey." That night, I pulled every deed, plat, and boundary map I owned. They'd built 25 homes, not near my land, on it. Turns out the developer filed an adjusted plat that claimed my dam, my creek, and a full 20 acres of my lower land were public watershed space attached to the new subdivision. That was a lie. But it got rubber stamped by some clerk who either didn't check or got paid not to. When I called the county, they gave me the runaround. The developer offered me a check, said it would save everyone trouble. I didn't cash it. Instead, I started watching. Then came her, Karen Delaney, HOA president, blonde bob haircut, loud voice, pearl white SUV. She knocked on my door one Sunday holding a clipboard and a smug little smirk. Said I needed to move my junk off HOA property. She meant my tractor shed. Then she had the nerve to tell me my dam was a liability and needed to be torn down before the next rainy season. I told her she was standing on stolen land. She laughed. "I think it's a little late to cry about that, don't you? They sent fines, notices, tried to claim I owed HOA dues. Then they cut a walking trail through my orchard. And when I put up fencing, the HOA bulldozed it, saying it was non-compliant. At that point, I realized something. They weren't just stealing. They thought they were untouchable. But they didn't know the history of that land. They didn't understand the dam. The reservoir behind my dam wasn't just a pretty pond. It was over 15 feet deep and stretched across nearly 5 acres. It held runoff from 4 different hillsides. And if I opened the floodgates after heavy rain, it would send thousands of gallons of water down the natural ravine, right through Whispering Pines. So I waited, quietly gathered documents, satellite photos, drone footage. I even hired a surveyor, independent and licensed, to map the original boundaries, all while the rains kept coming. On the night of March 12th, a thunderstorm rolled in, over 5 inches of rain in under 6 hours. By sunrise, the dam was swollen, the reservoir full. At 7:02 a.m., I called the county flood control office, reported emergency release conditions per my permits, and at 7:19 a.m., I turned the valve. The gates creaked open, slowly at first, then roared. Water gushed down the ravine like a freight train. By 8 a.m., the lower cul-de-sac of Whispering Pines was 6 feet underwater. Lawns, garages, even the fancy little park bench Karen had installed, gone. Driveways turned to rivers, manhole covers popped. I heard one resident's BMW floated clear down the street into a pine tree. And Karen? She showed up on my property, screaming, accused me of terrorism, of destroying her neighborhood. But I handed her the paperwork, my original deeds, my permits, the drone photos, the surveyor's maps, and the emergency water release report time-stamped and signed. She didn't say a word, just stood there, soaked, shaking, mascara running down her face, as the sheriff's deputy pulled up to escort her off my land. In court, the developer tried to argue I'd done it out of revenge, but my lawyer tore them apart. Turns out, not only had they illegally encroached on my land, they had also violated multiple state floodplain regulations. Their own engineers had ignored the natural watershed when planning the builds. The judge ruled in my favor, ordered the demolition of all 25 homes built on the floodplain, revoked Whispering Pines' HOA charter, and forced the developer to pay restoration costs plus damages. Karen Delaney? She got sued by half the neighborhood. And last I heard, she's working at a mobile home dealership outside Tupelo. Now? The dam still stands. The land is quiet again. The reservoir's full, but the water flows just the way it's supposed to. I rebuilt my fences, planted new trees where they cut the trail, and every morning, I drink my coffee by the water, watching the ducks glide across it. Sometimes I think back on everything that happened. The lies, the arrogance, the way they thought their little bylaws could rewrite history. But land doesn't forget. And water, it always finds its way home.